体何が見えるってんだよ。やつだ。
俺様だ。コラボだぜ。
Hey guys, what's going on? Garanex here, bringing you another video on 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross. I'm sure all of you are hyped as fuck because the Attack on Titan collab is here already. It's only been like 2 or 3 weeks since they launched the collab in JP, but it's already here in Global. What's more is that it's immediately right after Final Boss Merlin and all those OP banners. I think it's just too much too fast. So the two top questions that everyone have right now would probably be: number 1, should I summon on the AOT banner? And number 2, what should I do to prepare for the event? Now, I've done some research and I'm hoping to answer these questions for you, but do take note that Global has done things differently from JP, so we shouldn't expect everything to be exactly the same as what JP players had, although it's unlikely since they only had about 2 to 3 weeks to prepare for this event in Global. But working in a software company has taught me that it's pretty easy to change things. It's just whether they want it or not. So here they introduced the story quest to the Attack on Titan collab and also the 4 new units that we will be getting for this collaboration. So there is Levi, Mikasa, and 2 versions of Eren, one SR and one SSR. And if it's the same as JP, we should be getting the SR Eren for free, and we'll also be able to 6-6 him. Then for the other SSR units, you need to summon them on the banner. Then there is the Titan Elimination. So this is an expedition where you are limited to 8 heroes that you can bring for this quest line. So each new stage will give you 1 gem for clearing a new stage, and then you will also be able to farm these conquest tickets, which will allow you to join the world boss. And then we have the Titan quest. So this will be the first ever world boss we have on Global. So 4 players will be able to take on the Colossal Titans at the same time. He will drop a special currency which you can then exchange for rewards in the exchange shop. Now on the JP version, there was a problem with this world boss because there are a finite number of rewards that you can get from the exchange shop, and many people actually farmed everything on like the first 1 to 2 days. So what happened was that the more casual players are having difficulty finding people to join them for the world boss. So it might be a good idea for you to farm everything you need in the first 2 days if you are a really active player. Or you can join some YouTubers' Discord channel so that you may get some help from there. I do have my Discord channel link in the description down below. However, I have just started that not long ago, so there's no one there yet. Now let's briefly go through the 4 new units that will be released in this AOT collab. Number 1, it will be the SR Eren. So he is a blue unit, and his first skill inflicts damage equals to 240% on rank 1. On rank 2, cancel stances and deals 300% of attack, and on rank 3 is cancel stances and 500% of attack. His second skill is a buff which increases basic stats by 20% for 2 turns on rank 1. On rank 2, increases basic stats by 30% for 2 turns and also evades when attacked for 1 turn. And his rank 3 is increases basic stats by 50% for 3 turns and evades when attacked for 1 turn. And his ult inflicts shatter damage equals to 630% of attack on 1 enemy. His passive increases damage dealt to unknown race by 30%. So the most common unknown race would be Merlin and Gotha, which are very common units in PvP. His skill kits are pretty simple, just buff and do damage. So far, people have been saying that he's the best unit out of 4 units. Next, we have the SSR Eren, which is a green unit. Now, he is the first ever unit that we have that has a transformation mechanic. So let us go through his skills. For his first skill, in his human form, inflicts damage equals to 240% of attack on 1 enemy on rank 1. On rank 2, it is 300% and fills ult gauge by 1. And on rank 3 is 500% and fills ult gauge by 2. His second skill, inflict damage equals to 120% of attack on all enemies. on rank 1. On rank 2 is 120% of attack and disable ultimate moves for 1 turn. And on rank 3 is 180% of attack and disable ultimate moves for 2 turns. And his ult is that he will do the transformation into a Titan form. So a Titan form is the new mechanics in this game that changes form and becomes immune to stun, petrify and freeze. And at the same time, he also increases attack related stats, defense related stats and HP related stats by 10% for 5 turns, while at the same time decreases enemies attack related stats by 30% for 1 turn. Now in his Titan form, his first skill is inflicts amplify damage equals to 180% of attack on 1 enemy. On rank 2 is 270% and on rank 3 is 450%. So amplify deals additional 30% damage per active buff on the unit himself. His second skill inflicts damage equals to 150% of attack on all enemies on rank 1, and on rank 2 is 150% of attack and depletes 1 ult gauge, and on rank 3 is 250% of attack and depletes 3 ult gauge. And his ult inflicts damage equals to 840% of attack on 1 enemy. So in his Titan form, his skill kits are exactly the same as Red Escanor. And his passive also split into the human form and also the Titan form. So in his human form, the passive is increases damage by 10% for each ultimate move gauge orb that hero has. And in his Titan form, he is immune to ultimate move disabling effects. So the problem with SSR Eren is that if you want to deal massive amount of damage, you need to use his ult twice. Once to get him to transform, and once more to deal damage. Now if you're lucky with your draws, that should be pretty easy. But if you are unlucky, which is most of the time, you waste a lot of turns. And for his transformation on 1/6 is only 10% increase in all the stats, which is next to nothing. Most JP players have said that he needs at least 4/6 to have decent stats. But we're not sure if any of those numbers will change yet, so we'll see. The third unit is SSR Mikasa, which is a blue unit. On her first skill, she inflicts damage equals to 130% of attack on 1 enemy and makes the target bleed for 2 turns on rank 1. On rank 2 is 195% of attack and bleeds for 2 turns as well. And on rank 3 is 325% attack and bleed for 2 turns. Her second skill on rank 1 inflicts secret technique damage equals to 80% of attack on all enemies. On rank 2 is 120% and on rank 3 is 200%. So secret technique increases damage dealt by 20% per Mikasa's card on hand. And her ult increases the hero's basic stats by 50% for 3 turns and inflict 420% of attack on 1 enemy. Her passive, for each other ally that received damage when attacked, increases the hero's stats by 3%, limit to 10 times. For Mikasa, she's really good for the really long fights, but I feel that her skill kits are really awkward. You need to use her cards to build her ult so that you get that extra 50% basic stats increase, but at the same time you also need to keep her cards so that her second skill deals more damage. So you might want to pair her up with units like Merlin and green SSR Elizabeth to rush the ults. And finally we have the SSR Levi. He is a red unit. So his first skill inflicts spike damage equals to 160% of attack on 1 enemy on rank 1. On rank 2 is 240% and on rank 3 is 400%. So spike damage doubles the crit damage he deals. For his second skill, inflicts despair damage equals to 100% of attack on all enemies on rank 1, 150% on rank 2 and 250% on rank 3. So despair recovers 15% of diminished HP when critical hits occur. And his ult cancels buffs and stances on 1 enemy and inflicts damage equals to 630% of attack. And his passive, this hero will always crit against enemy that has the lowest leftover HP ratio. And it applies also when there is only 1 enemy, and also applies when all enemies have the same HP ratio. So Levi is fantastic when you bring him into boss stages with only 1 enemy, for example death matches. Since there is only 1 enemy, he will always crit. And with his S2, he will be recovering a bit of health every time. I believe the problem with him was a lack of crit damage. He only has 140% crit damage on the base, but I'm not sure how much he will actually go up to. Now the question is, should you summon on this banner? Yes, you should summon if you are a collector or you really love these units. Yes, you should summon if these units make you happy and enjoy the game more. Yes, you should summon if you're filthy rich and you have nowhere else to spend your money. And no, you should not summon if you are saving gems for other future units like LV Melly, Goddess Elizabeth, or other original characters like Eastlyn or Shin. No, you should not summon if you are saving gems for cosmetics that your core team will be using. And no, you should not be summoned if you are broke as fuck. The last question is, how should you prepare for this event? Save one thing, your stamina pots. Now this week is the half stamina week and many people are looking to farm SSR gears, food and books overnight, but the half stamina event will come back every other week. Instead, save your stamina pots for the last stage of the Titan expedition. If they do not nerf that stage, there's a 60% chance you get 3 4-star awakening stones from that stage, and a 12% chance you get 4 4-star awakening stones. Now that's more than half of a 5-star awakening stone, and at the very least, you need 8 sets of SSR gears for your main teams and also for your association units. Now I've done the math for you. That's 720 5-star awakening stones that you need to get a full 8 sets of SSR gear. And what if you want to UR all of them? You need a total of 1008 5-star awakening stones. So yeah, farm the stage as much as possible to get those stones. So right now what you do is you save your stamina pots. But once again, I have to say, Global has done things differently from JP before, and we have seen that so many times. We don't know if what we know right now about the collab will be exactly the same as when it is released, so do your preparations, but don't take any of these informations as 100% accurate. Now I hope this has answered the 2 questions that we wanted to answer. So if you have anything you wish to add on, please feel free to comment down below. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross videos. That's it for today, take care and have a great day ahead.